Good morning. This is the Eager Beaver Show.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Miss V Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. PsychicTarot.ca, book your tarot reading and unlock your spiritual journey. And the Pepper Master, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind.
Well, good morning and hello, kids, and welcome to season 5 and episode number, I'm going to guess if my memory is correct, 646 of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. 100% Canadian, and judging by the look on Mr. Grizzly's face, I remembered. Today, recording day, is Tuesday, May 13th. 2025, and it is a gorgeous day here at the Ottawa Beaver Lodge. I am your host, the Eager Beaver, pronouns he, him, hey, Mr. Beaver, hey, and with me, as you can hear, sipping his morning black coffee, is my good friend, Mr. Grizzly. Big thank you goes to our podcast founding sponsors, the Pepper Master, the Miss V Mysteries from Corbin Moon Publishing, and PsychicTarot.ca. Mr. Grizzly, how is your mental health today, sir?
Markedly improved over yesterday. When your physical health is suffering and you're battling allergies, your mental health takes a shit kicking, for want of a better term. It really does. And yesterday was a dark day. Hence one of the reasons I didn't do an ASMR last night. I was in too dark of a place, number one, and number two, I was just not physically up to it. I'm going to try and do something today. But today, mentally, I feel a little bit better today. Physically, marginally better. Still not anywhere near even 50%, but I'll take any improvement I can get. But eyes are really troubling me this morning, and I'm a little stuffed up. Not terribly stuffed up, but a little bit. So, it's one day at a time. One day at a time. It's the time of the season and I'm looking at the pollen counts, and they're saying they're low, and I'm like, then why am I suffering so if it's low?
Must be one particular pollen that does you in that's really abundant.
I think so.
That's about my only educamificated guess.
It's probably, yeah, I assume. I'm going to do another nasal rinse there once we finish here. I can give you a full spate today. If I I should be able to sit through the whole show. I think I can manage today. I didn't even have coffee yesterday. That's the kind of state of my mind that I was in yesterday. So.
Whoa.
Yeah. It was not, like I said, I was not in a good place. I was not in a good place physically or emotionally, which is fitting when, I'm just looking at what you just sent me here, and it's like, this is Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah, it is Mental Health Awareness Month for May. And in particular, right now is Mental Health Awareness Week. So this particular week from May 5th, was it May 5th to May 11th, I think? So we might be a little past it actually now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I didn't even know.
Yeah. One of the kids mentioned it in the chat yesterday, so I went in to go take a look at it and see what was going on. But yes, it is National Mental Health Awareness Month, and again, I believe I'm just taking a look here at my notes to make sure I've got that right here. But I believe from the 5th to the 11th was Mental Health Week. Yes, indeed. And the theme for the Mental Health Awareness Month this year is unmasking mental health. So the theme is encouraging people to be honest and vulnerable about their mental health, which we try to show an example of this on our show, to foster deep connections and to reduce stigma. Theme focuses on the idea that people living with mental health or substance use challenges often feel pressured to hide their struggles, creating a mask to protect themselves from judgment. So, by embracing honesty and vulnerability, individuals can open the door to deeper connections and the mental health benefits that come with it. This can create a ripple effect of courage and understanding across the country. This means that by being brave and sharing stories, people can inspire others to do the same, leading to a more supportive and understanding society. So, Canadian Mental Health Association wanted us to be aware of that, what their thinking is on that, and that we all participate in trying to reduce that stigma and in removing our masks by being a little more authentic, and by those of us who are on the receiving side being a little more welcoming of that authenticity.
That's something I could have written. I read that and I'm like, that sounds like something I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I agree with every word of it wholeheartedly. We have to discuss it. Oftentimes Bridget will look at me and she goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm fine." She goes, "Okay, we'll talk about it later." I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about what I'm going through when I'm going through it. I talk later because the last thing I want to do is continue to think about what I'm going through. I need a distraction from it. I don't want to think about what I'm going through. I want to distract me. Let me play a video game. Let me play solitaire on my phone. Let me read stuff online just to distract me from my inner monologue, which is saying not very nice things." So I will discuss it usually after I come through the other side of it. And she said, do I need to worry? I'm like, no. It's when I stop talking altogether that you should be concerned.
Mm.
I said, I'll tell you, I'm going through something and I need a distraction. Because for those of us who don't have mental health challenges or issues or disorders, call it whatever you want, if you've never faced it and gone through it yourself, you don't know what it's like to battle that. And it's a battle because your inner voice, your own inner voice is saying horrible things to you and your anxiety is running rampant. And honest to goodness, you just want to quiet it. You just
Right.
want to talk about it. I need to talk about anything but that. I need to be distracted from it so I can start to feel a little bit better about myself. And then, if you can find something to laugh at, that will help tremendously because it releases the correct endorphins and helps the serotonin actually be absorbed by the proper receivers, which, anyway, I'm not going to get too much into the science because I'm not a scientist. But yeah, the distraction from it is a tremendous help for me personally. And I've talked to other people who have said, yes, I agree. The same thing. It's just, I need to not think about what I'm hearing in my head. And unless you've ever dealt with that, it's difficult to try and tell somebody, what it all means.
Yeah. And so I'm a little bit the opposite. I mean, there are times when things are going wrong and it's like, "Do you want to talk about it?" No. Like,
Mhm.
I'll just say no. But most times if I'm feeling down, it's like, get me the most depressing music possible. And
Oh, yes,
put it on.
and that
Just like purge it out. Just come on, draw it out. Just like this.
and
And
I
I
understand that.
go through it. But I get that because I get there are times where my beaver sweetie asks me things. It's like, is something wrong? Yeah. Yeah, or yeah, something's wrong. Do we want to talk about it? Nope. Or something wrong. It's like, no, everything's fine. It's like, and everything is not fine. Like
Yeah, not
in
fine at
any
all.
way, shape, or form like this. And it's a little white lie because
Mhm.
everything's
You wanna
but
spare them.
really I want to say is like, no, it's not fine, but I don't want to talk about it right now. But I don't even want to have that discussion about why I don't want to talk about it right now. So
Yeah.
it's fine.
No, over time, I've learned to open up about that aspect of it and say, "No, I'm a mess right now, but I can't discuss it and we'll discuss it later. Let's talk about something else. Distract me from my own inner demons.
Mm.
I need
So
to.
that's good because you say what I need. So sometimes I have to ask my beaver sweetie. Says, "Okay, do you want me to say there, it'll be all right? Do you want me to
Mm,
say, do you want me to kill him for you? Do you want me to say,
mm,
tell you what, give you a suggestion of something that works for me, or or do you want me to just sit with you while you're being angry and just, yelling?" It's like, what do you need from me right now? Because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. And
well,
if you say that beforehand, like
yeah,
this,
it makes
you're
it
helping
easier.
people out a lot.
Well, it's, about opening up the lines of communication because let's face it, as human beings, males and females don't communicate very well, and males don't communicate very well either
Mm,
because women tend to talk about their feelings, men don't because society has told us that we shouldn't. Men are allowed to have two emotions, anger and joy. And that's kind of it. Uh, I'm, of course, being facetious here. That's not actually 100% true, but there are so many people who feel that way because of the community that they were raised in, and as a result, and you still hear it today. You still hear it today. Little boys, oh come on, boys don't cry.
mm,
Man up,
mhm,
man up. Years ago, I was talking to a woman, and we were at a party, and she was a singer in a band. They were quite successful at the time, and we got to be good friends. And we were having a conversation about how men have emotions too, and men feel like they could cry, and these are things that are important. She says, "I agree with you." I said, "I know you agree with me, but tell me something. If I burst out crying in the middle of this party right now, would you come running towards me, or would you run away?" And she looked at me and said, "Oh my God, I would leave the room." I go, "I know you would, because you're uncomfortable with it. If you started crying, we would all come to your aid and try and comfort you and help you. When it comes to men, we don't know how to react. Other men don't know how to react." And she said, "I was at my friend's wedding and her husband, as they were getting married, was weeping on the altar. And all I thought was, oh, for Christ's sake, grow up and be a man." I go, "There you go." She goes, "Paul, I never realized it. You just helped me realize this right now.
mm,
It's inherent in us as a society that we demand that men be big, tough, and strong. And if you're not a big, tough, strong man, you're not a man." I'm like, "Well, that ain't right. We have emotions too. We
mhm,
have boundaries. We have feelings.
mhm.
And when we talk about them, we're oftentimes shunned for it." And I'm speaking from personal experience.
Yeah,
This is not me imagining things or thinking, oh, maybe this. No, I'm speaking from personal experience, trying to open up to people and they just shut down. Now, because I've been doing this since 2014, I've noticed the change. I've
yeah.
noticed the change in people. They've changed their attitude and how they react. So it's getting better, but we still have a very long way to go.
Oh, yes,
But it
absolutely.
is getting better. It is. And people are open to talk about their mental health. And it was, when I was working with young guys who would just open guys who were like 19, 20 years old, just starting in the workforce in the trade that I used to be in, would just open up right away as soon as I met them. And I'm like, holy shit. That's not something my generation ever did.
Mhm,
We didn't talk about those things.
yeah,
You keep that inside. You don't discuss that. People will use that against you. They will make fun of you. They will use it as leverage against you. Except here's the thing, the world has changed so much since that time, from 2012 to now in 13 years. The world has changed so much that if you try and use someone's mental health challenges against them as leverage in the workplace, you're going to be the one on the receiving end of some shit.
right,
You're going to get reprimanded by HR and you might lose your job over it. Because here's a person who is struggling every day and makes it to work and does their job. That should be lauded. That should be applauded. That should be appreciated. Because some days getting out of bed is a miracle in and of itself.
indeed, indeed. So yeah, uh, listen, over the course of the past year, on the show, both of us have been fairly honest about mental health issues. You know, Mr. Grizzly, as you know, speaks openly about his struggles and Malin, uh, everyday sort of management of what needs to go on. On my end, it's typically more situational. If something happens, right? A personal failure, or someone, a lot of people in my life, who things are not going well with. And like I said, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a month and a half ago, really dealt with caregivers fatigue. Um, so, I mean, this is very real, and actually, it's good that we're talking about this today, because tomorrow will be 1 month until we have our mental health walk,
Yes.
June 14th. So, and one of the reasons why we do this mental health walk is to do just that, exactly, to get people talking, particularly men. Everybody, we want everybody talking about mental health, but particularly men, because of the level of stigma. Particularly getting men talking to each other, but men talking to just anyone, because as Mr. Grizzly pointed out many times last year when we were talking about that, on surveys and stuff like that, when you're asking men in particular, when things go wrong, shit hits the fan, it always will at some point. Who do you have to talk to? And most men say nobody.
Yes, that's the truth. Nobody.
Okay, that's not
You
okay.
know,
Everybody should have somebody.
there's an entire series on TikTok about that, and it was a woman who had a conversation with, I don't know if it was her partner or just a friend or a colleague. I can't remember the details of it, but so who do you talk to? And he's like, nobody. She went, what? Are you serious? He goes, yeah, nobody. We don't. So then she said, let's try something, and said, hi, talking to the men of this world. When you were feeling down, when you were feeling troubled, who do you talk to? Please respond by stitching this video. And it went on to be a very long series of hundreds of men from all walks of life, all cultures, all colors, all religions, just saying, nobody. That was the answer every single time. Nobody. That's dark, but it's also factual.
That's lonely as well.
Very, very, very. And now I am fortunate in that I have a lot of people in my circle that I can go to. I am fortunate, but I established that. I did it on my own because I knew it needed to be done. And it wasn't easy. And sometimes when I talk to some friends, you can see there's a bit of unease.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. But
Mm-hmm.
over the course of the last 10 years since I've been open about this, they've really just sort of, oh, okay, no problem. They'll just sit there and talk. And it was a couple of weeks ago. I called a buddy. I texted a buddy and I said, yeah, I'm just out on the patio having a Corona sun brew in the sunshine with my dog. He's like, I'm on my way. That's like code for me to reach out, because sometimes I just can't even say the words I need somebody to talk to. And he just came over and we sat and chatted about all kinds of stuff. And just as we were getting ready to leave, I said, thanks for coming out. I really needed that. I wasn't doing good today. And I needed the distraction. Oh, I'm getting emotional thinking about that. I needed the distraction. And we laughed and talked about sports and movies and all kinds of, stuff.
Yeah.
He said, yeah, I figured something was up when you texted just me and not the group. And I know he's always there for me. If I text him, he's always there for me. So
see, watching behavior.
yeah.
Normally you text the group. Today you didn't. New behavior. What's that about?
Yeah.
That's why I keep on telling you people, it's not just about politics. New behavior. No. You spot it. Ask about it.
Well, he has a family member who battles the same things I do. His family member has it a lot more difficult than I do, to the point where he's incapable of even holding down a job, and he's on a cocktail of medication to try and, make him feel as normal as possible. And some people just have it way worse than I do. And I have it bad, but there are a lot of people who have it way worse than I do. And the saddest thing about this is that it's all literally in my head. It's all in my head. But because the brain chemistry doesn't work correctly, you just think the worst things sometimes. Yeah. And you can't lift yourself out of it. It's like, oh, don't be depressed. Put on a smile. It doesn't work that way. Happiness is a decision you have to make. That's no question. You have to decide to be happy, and you have to put work and effort into it.
Yes.
However, However,
Trust
if
me,
you
this
have
doesn't just happen.
if you have the additional roadblock of clinical depression,
Yep.
deciding to be happy, yes, I can decide to be happy, but sometimes I'm just not going to feel that way.
Yep. And that's
You know,
like you're having an honest conversation with people too, right? Sometimes my beaver sweetie and I, we have an honest conversation, and he sees the look on my face, and it's like, "You don't look like you're liking this too much." I says, "I'm not." This
yeah,
is- but I thought you said we could have an honest. We can, but just because we both agreed that we're going to be honest doesn't mean I have to like what's being said, right? Creating you sometimes don't have to like the truth
hmm
being said because but you still have to have the space for it to be yes, it's mixed emotions and it's weird like this, but it's a parallel situation, right? And it's like it's going to happen, right? Like this the situation that's gonna come and it's like, oh god, this is gonna make me uncomfortable. Yeah.
Well, from Mel C here it says, don't dismiss or diminish your feelings because some seem to have it worse. All is important, and that is something you need to remember because one of the things that I often do when I'm in the depths of the darkness, deep in the basement,
Yep.
is go, well, I shouldn't feel this way because so many have it worse than me. It's like, yeah, but you feel what you feel, yeah, and you can't change it.
Feel what you feel is real,
Yes,
right? Listen, even if what you're feeling is irrational or illogical, the feeling is real.
it's real. Yeah. And
You gotta deal with that.
you can't beat yourself up about the fact that you know people have it worse than you. You have to take solace in the fact that you're feeling what you're feeling at that time, and you got to go through it, even though it sucks, and it does. I mean, right now I'm going through the whole existential crisis that I've been talking about for a little bit, but I've not fully opened up about it. It's like, do I have a place in this world now?
Mhm.
I'm rapidly approaching my 57th birthday. My EI is going to run out soon. I don't have any major job prospects. Things aren't looking good. I'm, you know, you sent me some money on Friday. I paid a bunch of bills, and it's like, okay, I'm out of money again. It's just like it's getting down to that point, and then you start to ask all the questions. I'm like, well, is my partner going to want to stick with me because I'm in this space? You know,
Yeah, and
do I
these
have
are
a place in this world? Am I still worthy? Am I still worthwhile? Do I still have importance? And you ask yourself all those questions, and that's all I've been going through since I guess Thursday of last week. And trying to quiet that voice has been difficult. And especially when you spend 3 days in the house basically because you're feeling like crap physically. So you're trying to distract yourself by playing comedy movies, which you're not even laughing at, and playing silly video games on your phone just to distract yourself from all those inner thoughts that are absolutely eating away at you.
yep,
So yeah, it's always darkest before the dawn. So I have to live and believe that things are going to turn around soon. Sooner the better. But it's troubling. It's troubling. And I know I'm not alone in this. I know I'm not alone in this at all. There are lots of men my age who are going through the same thing. And I'd like to be able to reach out and say, listen, let's get together and talk about this because, do I still have a place in society or have I been cast aside because I'm deemed either too expensive, and in many cases it's like they want to pay me $30,000 to $50,000 less than what I was earning. I'm sorry, I can't. That's the wrong direction. At this point in my life, I'm supposed to be at my peak earning potential
right,
so that I can continue to save money to put away so that someday I don't have to work when I'm 75.
right.
But the way things are going right now, well, most of the savings are disappearing rapidly. So it's like, yeah, take a shitty job that pays next to nothing just to keep the roof over the head. I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough.
It's tough. and taking a step back of stuff.
It is. It's very difficult.
And then when you were talking about comparing, right? Comparing to other people, that's and we're human. We always do that.
Yes.
Right? My Beaver Sweetie does that often, compares himself to his brothers. So he's got a house, he's got 2 kids, he's got a wife, he's been married for something. Yeah, but you went and got a PhD,
Yeah, you can't do both. It's one or the other.
right? Like this, he stopped at his brother's very accomplished, but he stopped at a master's.
Yeah.
Got X number of years in the work world more. Like you chose different paths. You can't do an apples to apples comparison.
Because
Like
it's not an apple to an apple.
but
It's not.
and then listen, it's like you have a PhD, you now have a 12-year relationship, you now have a house, like
Mhm.
this the patent happened. Yes, you have less few years in the work world, and your salary is not as high as your brother's. Like I said, but again, you got a PhD. It's like what percentage of people in the country have accomplished that? You've accomplished something that over 95% of us or 90% of us don't do, right?
Yes. Yes.
Don't discount that because you spent the time that you could have been doing what your brother was doing what you chose to do, which brought you joy and happiness and accomplishment, right? It's like, and
Yeah.
those things will come. They'll come on a different schedule, but they will
Yes.
come, right?
Well,
So,
and
it
that's the
happens to
thing.
everyone like this. Like for me, like we're talking about like sandwich generation, right? People that took
Mhm.
care. There are people my age now in their 50s taking care of their parents.
Right.
I did that in my teens and my 20s. My mom died 20 years ago,
Right.
right? So there are things that I missed out on in my 20s and 30s that mostly teens and 20s that my friends were doing that I couldn't do because situation in my life was
Mhm.
different. But now here
Yes.
I am, conversely in my 50s, and I'm hearing people my own age say, "Oh, well, we got to pick a home for mom and we got to." I don't have to do that now. I've already done it,
Yeah. You've
right?
gone through that
Things
already.
happen just that over the course of time, it evens out. So when you're talking about comparing, there's comparing to others, but then there's comparing to yourself because somebody said, "Well, listen, God, I've been in this situation before. I've been in worse this before. Why can't I handle this time?"
Mhm.
Thing is situational.
It is. And we
You're
need
not,
to realize
right?
that. But sometimes when you're in the middle of it, you can't see that,
No, no.
right?
That's why you
Because
need
you're
friends,
just
people to talk
you're
to you.
just you're suffering and you can't see the goodness, you can't see the positive things. All you see and hear are the negatives. You're washed up, you're too old, nobody wants you, you're worthless, nobody will pay you what you should be getting, you're never going to get a job again, you're going to become a ward of the state. Like all of these things go through my head right now. And it's it's not easy. I'd be lying to you if I said it was. It's not easy. It's very difficult. And asking myself that question every day, it's like now I'm starting to doubt my skill set and my capabilities of whether or not I can do anything. And here's the irony. I don't even want to do those things anymore, but I'm going to have to do something soon because I'm not earning a living at this,
Mm,
right? There's no
right,
money in this. I'm narrating books, sure, but unless the book sells, you don't get shit.
right.
So, you put the work in, you audition, you get the book, okay, great, you narrate the book, great, but if it doesn't sell, you don't make any money.
Yeah,
So you've put the work in, but there's no payoff.
yeah. That's like
There's no
everything.
guarantee.
This
Yeah,
right until you build enough of an audience, and it takes so long to build enough of an audience that most people run out of
exactly.
funds to support it before they have enough.
Well, this is where I am right now, right? It's like this is what I should be doing. This is what I should be doing. Voice work, voiceover work, narration, and I can do different voices, of course, for cartoons and video games and stuff like that. But here's the thing: it's like I need money to be able to continue to do this because I have bills to pay,
Yeah,
and without a steady income, pursuing that passion, which is, I guess, it's been, I don't want to say a dream of mine, but it's been something that I've wanted to do for a very long time. And now I'm in a position where I have the know-how, the knowledge, the skill set, the equipment, the abilities, the capabilities, but I don't have enough money to keep myself going. So it's like, where do I go from here? I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. And
Yeah.
that's where I find myself.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's that's a kick in the teeth for your mental health too, right?
yeah. Well, my friend, like I said, it's hard to see, but you have Bridget and you have me and you have Dan Fam and this project, and hopefully, this will take off. It will continue to take off. It is taking off. It will continue to grow, and will help in the meantime. And but like I said, you got me.
Yeah, thanks, brother. I know that. I love you, and I appreciate that. I appreciate everybody in the damn fan in the chat. I'm seeing some great comments here, and I take them all to heart. So thank you for all of that. Um, I'll continue to try and here's the difficult part: is to try and be creative when you're so worried about
Yeah.
where tomorrow takes you.
Yeah.
It's difficult to try and be creative when you're literally freaking out about, oh shit, look there was a bill that was due today and that's not going to get paid.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I just got a phone call from my cell phone company. They're saying, hey, you're overdue. I'm like, oh shit. So if I don't come up with money by the 15th, they'll cut me off. It's like, yeah, okay, all right. And, like if it's not one thing, it's another. And all I'm trying to do is I'm treading water, man. Just trying to keep my head above. It's just the situation. And, when I got let go last summer, when I got laid off because there was no work for me, I thought, okay, well, I'll enjoy the summertime. And, the goal was I was going to take August off and then try and have something lined up by September so that I could have, a new income, and I had my severance package.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, I can save and invest while I have money coming in, but all that severance is gone. It's gone. I lived very frugally for as long as I could. I'm still doing it by, out of necessity, not necessarily choice.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what tomorrow brings, but I do know what the next 2 minutes will bring, and that's a cup of coffee. Oops, there's still some left. I just spilt it all over the place. But
Oh,
that's a cup of
no.
coffee. No, it's okay. It's just on me. None on the equipment, so that's all that matters. I'll be right back.
All right. All right, kids and cubs. Moving to a couple of other things. So, longer introduction, but hey, like I said, it's Mental Health Month, so Mental Health Awareness Month. So why not to delve into the topic a little bit before we get started? Yesterday, for those of us who are fans of Canadian literature, would have been the 104th birthday of Farley Mowat, who had written 60 books over the course of his career, including Lost in the Barrens, which maybe a lot of us read in high school. I know that we had to.
Farley Mullet, yeah.
Yeah. So, yes, it would have been 104 yesterday if he was still with us. Also, for those of you who are watching the Stanley Cup, Oilers last night, 3-0 shutout victory. 2 goals by Henrique, 1 goal by Kane. They are leading the series 3-1. So, again, for those of you who predicted Leafs Oilers in the final, well, at least for the Oilers part, it seems that so far your bets are doing well. Of course, the series is not over, 3-1, but that would bring them to the semifinal if they could win that. And of course, Ottawa is playing Montreal in the PWHL playoffs tonight at 7 p.m. and Dallas will be at Winnipeg at 8 p.m. tonight in the NHL. So
I thought Ottawa, the Charge won their first game, didn't they? Did they win
Charge
game one?
Montreal won the second.
Yes.
Yeah, so the series is tied at 1. Yeah,
Okay.
and
And it's a
Montreal.
5-game
Yeah,
series? Yeah.
yeah. And Montreal's goal in fourth overtime the other night made it such that was the first game that the Montreal Victoire won in playoffs out of the 5 played in franchise history because they
Quadruple overtime. That's 2 games in one night.
Oh, I know. It was
Well,
me too.
I
Well, I
didn't
guess
get to see any of it.
gonna watch the PWH game tonight because I mean I will tune into the Oilers as well, but I just want to see like how fast they're going to be able to skate 2 days after having done 2 matches, and this is
They were probably very dehydrated by the end of the end of that game. I was reading the
apparently
thing
they had
on
mustard packets by the benches, and they were like eating
yes,
mustard packets to
yeah,
stop from cramping.
it does. It works. It's terrible. It's harsh, but it works. I was reading some stuff the other day online, and it was all like messing with people who don't know how the sport works. It's like when we in NHL playoffs, if they go into a seventh overtime, they drop a second puck on the ice. I'm like, that's not true, but it's funny because people are like, really? Oh, yes. And if they go to an eighth overtime, they put 15 players on per side. like, no, that's none of that is true.
I was surprised though that it was 5-on-5 overtime the whole the way through, because when we were watching the women's world championships, when they went into overtime, they were playing 3-on-3.
Well, that's
They,
different
they don't do
different rules.
they don't do show. So, yeah, exactly, different rules, but they don't do shootouts. It's 3-on-3. So I just assumed I assumed that was going to be the leagues as well. So I was happy to see 5-on-5. And that also,
PWHL has more NHL rules than IHF, I should say. So
yeah,
the International Ice Hockey Federation, which is what oversees World Cup and things like that,
and
that's the ruling when you go to overtime. But in
that
NHL style and
PW.
PWHL, I wanted to throw a J in there for some reason. I have no idea why. But in PWHL, it's a similar ruling as that you have in the NHL. So it's 5-on-5 until somebody scores.
If we get a PWJHL, we know that we really made it.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, and there's talk of a burgeoning professional women's baseball league.
Yes. Well, you know what? I was looking through some sports stuff the other day, right? And I'm just looking at at scores and whatnot like this, and I'm just looking for when the WNBA season would start because the Toronto Tempo's there. And I'm thinking like, wow, it's like great, we got a WNBA. There's a women's pro league in Turkey. There's a women's pro league basketball league in Kazakhstan already.
Mm-hmm.
Say, we're late to the party, man.
We're really late to the party. When you consider that Kazakhstan is a largely Muslim country too, right?
Yeah. So it's like I'm just like looking through the scores. It's like, wait a minute. Baseball league, Kazakhstan, women's playoffs. Wait, there's a women's professional.
Yeah.
So just goes to show that sometimes we think we're so far ahead and pioneers, and it turns out we're not. Right. All right.
Women in Afghanistan and Iran in the 70s had more advantages in the workforce than women in Canada do today.
Mm. Yeah.
Think about that. I mean, it's not like that now, but it was like that then.
Yeah, indeed. And when Mr. Grizzly was talking a little earlier of the IIHF, they're the ones that are organizing the men's World Championship tournament that's going on right now. And if you're watching that, Team Canada will be taking on France, I believe, at 2 p.m. Eastern today. So if you want to do your patriotic duty and sit in front of the TV and cheer, go Canada, go. That's the time to do it. Okay, kids and cubs. Today, politically, is Cabinet Day, which is usually a very, very, very big day. And in this case, unlike many other recent cabinets, I'm trying to think, this one actually has some cabinet secrecy. We actually don't know much, because often when we get to cabinet, we're, oh, this guy's gone already, and this guy will stay, and like we kind of know when things got strategically leaked. And we did get some strategic leaks, but they were a different kind with regard to this cabinet in terms of composition and that type of stuff, but not really in terms of like who's in or who's out. So this is rather hermetic, which is actually kind of exciting for a political junkie like me, because the one thing I was hating about the budget of the cabinet is that you kind of knew everything that was in it before it was actually released because of all these leaks. So I actually like it. It's like, will the big four stay or won't they? Will the three that were on the couch with him in Washington, D.C. be in the same positions after this is all over? Ooh, big questions. Will Mark Miller return to the cabinet, or will he be dumped? What will he do for Quebec, given that he got so many seats in Quebec? Because will there be somebody from Saskatchewan in the cabinet? Out of the two from Calgary and from Edmonton, which one will it be? Will it be Corey Hogan or will it be the other person whose name I can't remember because her last name is very difficult to pronounce off the top of my head, and I haven't heard it often enough to remember it. That's the only reason I'm not saying it because I don't want to embarrass myself. But odds are, gender parity. People are thinking, if they have to choose between Corey Hogan or this lady in Alberta, that chances are that she's a shoo-in if we're looking at gender parity. So there are some questions. The guy from Saskatchewan, Bucky Belanger, looks like he's a shoo-in if you want to have somebody from every province. Right? People are wondering, well, yes, you need one from every province, but do we really need one from Prince Edward Island? If the cabinet's small? I don't know. So you're hearing a lot of these types of questions rather than, like who's in and who's out and all that kind of stuff, which is kind of interesting. And we will get to that. But I wanted to talk to you first, do a little follow-up, because yesterday was actually a slow news day, so we have time to catch up on a few things before we get to the cabinet stuff. And about 10 days ago or so, I presented to you an interview by Andrew Scheer with Vashi Kapelos, which was really bad for him. And then I told you that the next day on Power Politics, he did another bad interview, which we didn't have time to show you because there was so much news going on, which we're going to come to. And then he was named interim leader, and then he went back to Power Politics and did another interview, and we're going to show you how that one started off. Now, the reason why we're going to bring you a clip from, we're going to bring you a clip from two clips from the first interview, a clip from the last one, and the one in the middle, is just to show what's going on with the Conservatives, because the Conservatives keep on telling you, right? It's about change now. It was change. It was about the whole change for the election, and then we voted for change, just not the kind of change they were offering.
Yeah.
Because the Liberals were also offering some change. Conservatives never acknowledged that Liberals were offering change, right?
Well, no, they keep saying it's going to be the exact same cabinet. It's the exact same people. It's like, no, it's not.
In a hockey nation where we know that if you change the GM or the coach and keep all the same players, they change a lot, right?
Yeah.
So try to bullshit us and try to bullshit us in our own nation about something we see all the time. So this is happening, and the Conservatives, Pierre Poilievre coming out somewhere in the midst of all of these interviews saying like this, I need to learn and I need to grow, and we're going to bring some change. And the way we're going to deliver change is by me running to Calgary so that you could put me back in Parliament. Because even though Canadians voted for a Parliament without Pierre Poilievre in it, for a change, Pierre didn't like change, so he's going to make sure that that change doesn't hold. See? They're not for all change.
Just
right?
the change that they want. I'm curious to see what's going to happen with this by-election, because the feedback I'm getting online, and again, online isn't real life, okay? But the feedback I'm getting is that the people that live in that riding are none too happy about this.
Yeah.
They're like, we didn't vote for him. We voted for that guy. We wanted Damien, not Pierre.
Yeah, and
they don't see him as a Westerner anymore either, because he's lived here for 25 years.
And there's going to be lots of other things, right? You're going to get the UCP voters who are not MAGA.
Yes.
Going to be problem. You got the whole Alberta separation thing going in. Will Pierre do a full-throated defense of that, or will he reject it? Or if he doesn't full support, the people in that district that are MAGA and Alberta Republican and whatnot, will they vote for Pierre now because he didn't pass the purity test? Well, there's a lot of stuff going on there. But yes, and again, in Alberta, particularly when we talk about grassroots, people are usually not too keen on candidates being parachuted in. But then on the other hand, when people in writing get a party leader, they sometimes say, well, maybe that will make extra attention for our writing. So, there's a lot of considerations here. But the main thing is that the Conservatives are trying to tell us that it's about change. And then they gave us Andrew Scheer as the interim.
Change. We already had that guy, and he sucked.
Okay. So didn't we cut you? Same thing with Pierre. Didn't we cut you? Why are you stealing the seed?
Take your skates off and get off the ice. Okay? You were cut. You're not a member of this team anymore.
I feel like I'm on a movie platform, right? Like this, and there's this guy that says, you you did not get the part and they're still in the camera view. It's like, will you please leave? And it's like 3 hours later, it's like, did we not cut you? Why are you still here?
You know who
You're
he
not in
is.
the movie.
You know who he is. He's the what's the name of the character from Office Space? Have you seen my stapler? Yeah, he was let go years ago, but for some reason he still kept getting a paycheck. So what do you mean? We took care of it. He's
You're
not going to get
fired.
a paycheck anymore. It'll take care of itself.
You're fired. I refuse. Thank you, but
That's
show up tomorrow. It's like, that's not how it works.
not how it works. He was
But
fired years ago, but he keeps getting paid, so he continues to show up every day, even though he doesn't actually contribute to anything.
see, so we're going to show you 2 little moments of Andrew with Vashi, where we're not seeing now. Before Pierre's video saying change, but you would think that if the Conservatives lost the election, that they would think that maybe we got to change something. So here's Andrew Scheer before everybody saying we needed to change, showing change in conservative behavior with journalists.
Over the next days and weeks.
If I understand you right, though, you're saying it's the fault of, it's basically because of what happened to the NDP. It's the fault of the media. I mean, you have two conservative premiers, with respect, you have two conservative premiers saying it was the strategy employed, that essentially Tim Houston said the Conservatives are pushing more people away than pulling in. These are Conservatives. This isn't me just making it up.
It's just demonstrably false by the facts. I mean, the facts are it doesn't make sense.
Why didn't Pierre probably have talked to Tim Houston or talked to Doug Ford? Isn't that weird?
You can't simultaneously say we pushed people away when we got more votes. That's just factually incorrect. That doesn't work on a mathematical level. I don't know what else to say. I mean, we got more votes, we got a higher percentage, we won more seats. Clearly, we weren't pushing people away. We reached historic highs. That's just a nonsensical statement that doesn't hold up to a second's worth of scrutiny.
But it's
who's in power again? Who's in power again?
Again, right? Remember, the entire conservative exercise in these 3 interviews is denying that reality happened.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? Because Pierre is an inspirational leader that achieved a level of success that nobody else has before, even though Harper led him to a majority. But right? Like this, and that's all that matters. He increased. Look at all the votes we got. Look at the increased seats. Yeah, okay. He's saying that it's mathematically nonsensical. Like this. Okay, this is the guy that they chose as interim leader, who can't look at 2 sets of numbers, can't look at what the Conservative vote was in 2021 and now, and also look at what the Liberal vote was in 2021 and now, and notice that the same thing happened to both parties in the same election.
Yeah.
Both of their votes went up. Both of their seat counts went up because Pierre, yes, while he mobilized a lot of people to the Conservative Party, also mobilized a lot of people to the Liberal Party. Andrew Scheer only wants you to recognize and acknowledge that one exists. And he's sitting there and telling a journalist who, for a living, does comparative reading.
Yeah.
Sounds like this. It's just so wrong on the facts. It's just so, I can't believe that you're saying such stupid things. It's like, Andrew, you're the one who's being stupid right now.
Yeah. You lost a 30-point lead.
You can't, and that's the other thing they do with this when you say you lost a 30-point lead. It says, yes, but how can you say we lost a 30-point lead? We were at 38 going into the polls before the election. We came out with 42. We didn't lose. We didn't say your vote share went down. We said you blew a 25-point lead. We didn't say you dropped from 42 to 17. You were ahead. It was 42 to 16 at one point, is what we were trying to tell you. And it's no longer. You lost. It's like, but that's why conservatives will only, again, where they start history, time, always changes. Mm-hmm. Because what data they include in the data set and exclude changes. But it always changes. Because whether they use the full dollar amount or the percentage, but it always changes to the advantage of the conservative to either make the story look better for them or more fearful for you, or to make their accomplishments look bigger while denying everybody else's accomplishments or that reality for everybody else took place with. it's just, right? They refuse to look at the whole picture and give you a statement that's based on the whole picture. They take
Of
everything,
course.
isolate it in a vacuum, and look at it as if it was an all independent thing that existed in suspended animation away from everything else and was not affected by anything.
They have some pretty good spin doctors who are able to convince them of, look at this. This is amazing what you did. Yeah, but you lost. But what we did was amazing. But you lost.
You lost amazingly. It's like, you know what? I played tennis the other day. It went to 8-8. We had to go to a tiebreaker. Because I lost 10-8.
Yeah.
I played my ass off. I played well. I kicked ass. I still lost. The last time I played that guy, I lost 8-3. This time I lost 8-8, 10-8, and it's like this. I did better. I still lost. I don't get the trophy. I don't get the cookie.
I keep reading in online people saying, at various media companies saying, well, it's a razor-thin minority. They're 2 seats away from a majority. How is that razor-thin? They have more seats than the last 2 elections.
It's not a razor.
How is that razor-thin? It's not.
A healthy majority. A minority.
Healthy minority.
You're 2 away from a majority. It's not a razor-thin minority.
No,
you're razor-thin away from a majority.
Yes. So they left that part out there. It's a razor-thin minority away from a majority. Yes, that part is true. You got to add that part, though. They're 2 seats away. 2 seats. That's wild.
Razor-thin minority, right, is if, like, the Conservatives got 99 and the Liberals got, like, 102. And everything was balanced out like 55, 60 something, like this. That would be a razor-thin minority. This is not. So words have meanings, and just because you can use them creatively or by omitting a word here like this or flipping it or saying, like this, well, if I play with this word, it could mean, but the reality doesn't make it so. And all the time and energy and effort that they put into trying to have fun with words and fun with numbers rather than just facing reality. He could have just sat there in the interview and said, you know what, we performed higher than we thought we were going to do, considering going in. I mean, if you were looking to a year before the election, we didn't do as well. If you were looking a month before the election, saw Mark Carney go into majority territory before. Given how the situation changed so quickly on the ground, we did really well. We're proud of ourselves. We can't believe that we actually improved our seat count considering how things were turning. So that must mean that there's something that we said that resonated. And yes, we have to do more work, and we're prepared to do that work. But it wasn't enough. But we did it. But the but should be, but it wasn't enough. Not we lost, but we got this. We got this, but in the end, it wasn't enough. That's where the but should be.
In the words of Homer Simpson, you tried and you failed. And what did you learn from that? Never try.
All right.
Never try.
So going to see him again. Apparently, it's supposed to be change, but we're going to watch him lean into the traditional dickishness, not only with Vassy Kapelos, but now they're going to be speaking about some of the premiers. And watch, the accusation is that these conservatives were so high on their own supply that they could tell other conservatives, we don't fucking need you because you're not pure enough. You're not a real conservative like we are. Yeah. Right?
Coming from a person who clearly...
Sorry.
So now look what he said. There's going to be an exchange. He's going to make a comment about Tim Houston. Listen to it.
Doesn't hold up to a second's worth of scrutiny.
But it's coming from a person who clearly feels like there was no outreach to the people who supported him and to him himself, right?
So supported who?
Tim Houston.
I'm not sure I follow the question.
He's making that statement based on what he has observed in his own
People
experience,
which he did.
Well, he has said that there was no outreach, for example, from Pierre Poilievre to him.
So his feelings are hurt?
I don't know. I'm just conveying what he said, and I understand what you're saying, but I can't discount what two conservative premiers are saying. Like, Doug Ford is the premier of the most populous province in the country. Like, does what he say not matter at all? Like, if he feels that no outreach was done to him or his supporters, isn't that something to just take stock of?
I just don't believe that's true. And again, we're on this. We're in this not.
I don't care what you believe. There's a fact, and facts don't care about your feelings or your beliefs.
And again,
facts are facts.
And again, whether you believe it's true or not, Doug, we just had this conversation. Doug Ford feels,
yes,
and feelings are real, that you did that. So it's just not true. Whether it's true or not, the situation, Boo-Boo Kitty, is that you have the premier of the most populous province, who's also the most successful conservative politician in Canada, saying that he feels you slighted him. That's what you deal with.
Because we were worried about interpersonal relationships with someone like Doug Ford. We're worried about the people in Ontario who are affected by terrible Liberal policies. That's who we are listening to. That's who we're thinking about doing that outreach to and getting them on side and addressing their needs. And I'll point out, Pierre Poilievre got more votes in Ontario than Doug Ford did. Pierre Poilievre got a higher percentage of the vote than Doug Ford did.
Won a third majority.
More people
you have lost
in Ontario.
A fourth election.
More people in Ontario wanted Pierre Poilievre to be Prime Minister than wanted Doug Ford to be Premier. That is just the facts. So, do we have some work to do? Do we have to figure out next steps? Obviously, Vashi, we didn't.
And we'll leave that there because I'm tired of listening to him.
Stutter and stammer, stutter and stammer, stutter and stammer like this. But there's my fact. He got more votes. Yeah. In an election that had compared the voter turnout in the Ontario election versus the federal election. Gee, is it a wonder you got more votes given that more people turned out? Right? Vote share. In this is where you use percentages and not raw numbers, based on the people that came out. This and the ultimate result, regardless of the number of people who came out, Boo Boo Kitty, Doug Ford won his seat.
He did.
Doug Ford won the election. Pierre
like it or not.
did not do either. Right. Let's go to the next segment now, where in that one, where Vashi Kapelos asks him the question that kills.
That it's about the people. It's about the people that they represent as premiers or as other politicians. It's not about settling interpersonal differences. I don't think Canadians care about that. I think Canadians are worried about how they're going to pay their mortgage, how they're going to move out of their home and start their parents' home and start a life for themselves.
But
and
Canadians
that's what we're going to be focused on.
For example, somebody who is running to represent all the things you just said, the interests of people who feel left behind. Don't they want to see that person working with other leaders and working towards better outcomes for everyone? You're dismissive of, for example, for the Premier's support in Ontario, he won a third majority mandate. You have failed to win a fourth time around.
As I said, there are dynamics that we have to figure out to make sure that doesn't happen again. But again, more people wanted Pierre Poilievre to be Prime Minister in Ontario than wanted Doug Ford to be Premier. That's just a fact.
But
I'll tell you what Pierre Poilievre didn't do.
I just feel like it sounds like...
No, that's not a fact.
That's not a fact. It's just not. Comparing cherries with watermelons. It is not a fact. If that were the fact, Pierre would be Prime Minister.
Correct.
He'd be an MP. More people did not want. In numbers, yes. Vote share, no.
Because what happened between the last election and this election, our population went off from 38 million to almost 42 million, the bulk of which moved to the province of Ontario, taking us over the 16 million mark. Most of the 4 million people who moved here since the last election moved to Ontario.
Yeah.
So...
You guys are in denial that you lost. Like I won, but I lost. Like I don't understand.
Who's denying that? No. I'm just saying your prescription is to do something that Premier Ford seems to be asking for. I'm just pointing out that for sure we have to take a look and take stock and say what do we need to do to win next time. I'm just pointing out that Pierre Poilievre is he's popular. He's more popular in Ontario than Doug Ford is, just based on the votes. Like that's not a subjective opinion. If we just count ballots, that is just an.
Thou shalt not admit that Pierre lost.
Basically.
objectively true statement.
Didn't the Liberals win the popular vote, though, in Ontario?
Federal, I'm just saying, when you're talking about popularity, when you're talking about base of support, these are just facts. I'll tell you what Pierre Poilievre didn't do. Pierre Poilievre didn't endorse Bonnie Crombie. Pierre Poilievre didn't praise opponents of Premier Ford and the Ontario PC Party. So, look, I think it's time. What I would say to everybody in Canada, every conservative, every type of every level, we can all agree that Liberal policies will be bad for Canada. So let's work together.
How can we agree on that? Well, that seems to be we can all agree that Liberal policies are bad for Canadians.
That's like the most boilerplate conservative statement you could say.
So pharmacare, dental care, $10 a day child care, and a housing program that we've not seen since World War II. Those are harmful to Canadians. Oh, they are. If you're a wealthy Canadian that now has to pay closer to your fair share. And I know there are people who are going to get pissed at me for saying that. I don't care. I've had people say to me, and this is no word of a lie, last year I paid, the taxation in this country is ridiculous. Last year I paid $175,000 in taxes. Yeah? That's more than double what I earned. I think you're going to be okay. I get so angry when I hear people say that. If you paid that much money in taxes, you're earning a very good living. You aren't at the grocery store counting everything in your cart to make sure you have enough money to pay for it. I have no sympathy for anyone who says those words. None. Zero. And that's who he's preaching to.
Yep.
That's the Canadians he's preaching to, not you or me.
Let's stop this kind of thing, this kind of finger pointing. We will absolutely take a hard look at what decisions were made and why were they made and what data went into making those decisions. What do we need to do to be successful next time? And again, not because we want the blue team in and not because out of our party's sake, but I'll tell you, actually, I knocked on doors in every corner of this country. The despair that people had if the Liberals got another term was real. I mean, we had people weeping, crying, telling us their stories at rallies and on the doorstep. People weren't just saying, we hope you win. They were saying, you gotta win. And that's what's disappointing today, knowing that we weren't successful. And that's what's gonna drive us to put aside all this back and forth with other conservative politicians. That's what's gonna drive Pierre to stay focused on those people and their stories and bring them hope again. So
now, what he leaves out of this conversation, these people have come and crying to us about that. I'm like, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, that's believable. I'm sure there have been many people who did exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
But you didn't straighten them out and tell them the truth that those were provincial policies that did that to you, not federal.
Yes, because that would hurt the party brand because most of the premiers are conservative.
Yeah.
Right.
It's provincial premiers who did that to you.
Yeah. So again, right, it says we don't need to do any finger pointing like this. Yeah, you do. You lost. You got to point a finger somewhere. That's what an analysis does. That's what a postmortem is to find out what went wrong. So you could point a finger somewhere. This went wrong, or this person did something wrong, and make the changes that need to be made. Also, you will notice that again when he keeps on talking about people like Doug Ford or whatnot, like says we don't need to wait. We know you don't need big time or something like this to take care of the feelings of people like Doug Ford. A lot of people like Doug Ford vote for people like Doug Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew. It's just the sheer level of, again, they need change, but he's sitting there and says, well, we don't need to care about what people like Doug Ford.
Well, you remember a few years ago. Do you recall a few years ago there was a town hall that Trudeau held in southwestern Ontario, I believe it was. And a woman came to him and she was yelling at him about her hydro bill.
Mm-hmm.
And he listened to her and he says, I'm very sympathetic towards your cause. I really am, but there's nothing I can do about it. That's a provincially regulated organization. You need to speak to your MPP about that. and the premier of the province. There's nothing I can do about it federally. And he was correct, because he was actually trying to teach people basic civics about the responsibilities of the different levels of government in this country. Now, in Ottawa, my hydro bill is through Ottawa Hydro, which is a city-owned utility. The city of Ottawa owns it. So
Right.
if I had a big issue, I would have to speak to my city councillor, not my MPP, because my MPP has nothing to do with it.
Mhm.
But federally, hydro doesn't fall under any federal jurisdiction.
Mhm.
So, and this guy here wants to gaslight you into believing that the federal government under Pierre Poilievre will fix all your problems when most of them have been created by conservative premiers.
Yeah. Right. So we got to pick up a little speed, though, if we're going to get through the show.
It's early days after the election. There's a lot of work for us to do. But I can tell you that Pierre is fighting, and he's driven by that need to restore that hope for Canadians.
Does he feel a responsibility for letting those people down? I remember years ago speaking to you after your loss. You won the popular vote. You lost against a majority government, the Liberal government. You brought them still to a minority, though. He lost the popular vote and couldn't win after a decade of the Trudeau government and 2 minority governments. Like, why was it appropriate for you to step down in that instance, but not for him?
I mean, to compare these results to 2019, I don't even mind saying I was leader in 2019. Pierre was leader this time. Massive gains, fashion.
But you won the popular vote.
This is we're in the early days after the election. There is no one that could have built up this team, this platform, other than Pierre. I mean, it's almost like everyone forgets that Justin Trudeau was a popular prime minister with a whole lot of support for his policies. And Pierre, through a systematic litigation of the damage that was doing to Canadians, forced a sitting prime minister who did not want to go to resign. Okay, that's no small accomplishment. So this idea that it was no big deal to go into an election with this kind of footing is just false. It took Pierre's vision. It took Pierre's leadership.
Could he kiss his ass anymore?
We can stop here with this one. Thank you. Okay. I don't know if you can hear me because I said it 3 times.
Yeah, okay, I can hear you. Well, I couldn't hear you when he was talking, though. So
okay. So yes, that's the question right there that kills. Right. It was your record.
Mm-hmm.
You brought the Liberals from a majority to a minority, and though you lost, you won the popular vote. Pierre Poilievre brought the Liberals from a minority to an even stronger minority and didn't even win the popular vote and didn't win the seat. Why did you have to go, Andrew? And why does he get to stay? Well, look at the vote.
Dude, you lost.
Okay. More people came out to vote this time around. Okay. We had a more polarized election this time around than was the case for Andrew Scheer. Okay. At the end of the day, though, because this is Canada and we have 343 little elections, popular vote only matters in your riding.
That's it.
That's the first past the post.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it's all about the seats, baby. It's all about the seats. It's not about vote share. It's not about how much you increased your seats or how much your seats, yes. But it's not about how much you increased your votes. It's not about whether you finished second or first. It's about the seats, baby. You get the seat or you don't.
That's it. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated. It's not rocket surgery. Not rocket appliances.
Right. So now we move to 5 days later. This where Andrew Scheer is in an interview with David Cochrane. Now, again, this is before he's named interim leader. Now, remember this, but this is after Pierre has now put out his video saying that we need to learn and grow. Well, let's see if the guy that is going to be named interim leader got the memo.
Set, though, The Conservative Party must decide who will lead them in the House of Commons when Parliament returns on May 26th. Former party leader and Saskatchewan Conservative MP Andrew Scheer joins me now. Mr. Scheer, it's good to speak with you again. It's been a while. Thank you for joining us today.
Good to see you, David. Thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I want to start with the status of your leader. I mean, Pierre Poilievre started this year with a 20-point lead in the polls, but he lost the election and he lost his seat. So why should he stay as party leader?
Well, when you look at it, the polls going into the election had him in around high 30s, and we got 42%. We've got a record number of votes in the history of our party, and including the highest percentage of the vote in the modern Conservative era.
Didn't the Liberals do the same thing?
I'm sorry, gentle correction on myself. This wasn't 5 days later. This was the very next day.
Oh, okay.
The very next day. So we had that performance that you saw there. This is the very next day. The question that Vashi Kapelos asked him at the end about his own success is going to come really early here. Look, they worked on the answer.
Gaining seats in places where we've never held them before, like Welland. We've got a large number of new MPs, and we've got a large number of new voters. People who have never voted Conservative before or who have never voted see themselves in our party thanks to Pierre's leadership and thanks to the fact that he's been speaking to their issues, all the terrible policies of the Liberal government that...
Could he kiss his ass any harder?
Again, cannot admit that Pierre lost. That's the assignment.
Drove up housing costs, that caused crime waves.
More of this bullshit?
Yeah. Let it roll.
And drugs to flood our streets and kill jobs and cause inflation. Pierre's been speaking about those issues, addressing them, offering solutions. And so this incredible result, while disappointing that we didn't win, is just a fantastic base to build on for the next election.
But, you know, in 2019, you won the popular vote. You increased your seats. You held the Liberals to fewer seats, and you won your own seat. And that wasn't good enough for you to stay around. So why is the standard different in 2025?
Well, my decision was because of the strain that it had put on my family, given the number of children I have and the ages that they were. I will just happily point out that Pierre got 8 or 9 points more than I did in 2019 and a large number of new seats. So, look, I mean, Pierre is the leader of our party. He's the leader of our movement. When I went door knocking, and I did in many different provinces across the country, from Vancouver Island all the way to New Brunswick, I would knock on doors and I would get people tell me not only did they never vote Conservative in past elections, but often that they never voted at all. Because
why is he campaigning coast to coast? He has a constituency. That's where you should campaign.
He was the House leader, so I mean, he does have a bit of a national role for the party. But you will notice here that yesterday when he was asked why why not him, it was like, well, you know, Pierre did so well at this. Now it's, well, you know, I have a family, and there was the impact on my children.
But
and then pivot immediately away to, well, you know, I have to admit that Pierre's got 8 or 9 more points than I did when I ran, because that's why this is why Andrew was chosen, because Andrew has a best to work off. He's still watching dishes in the back of the restaurant. So he's going to go in front of the camera and say, rather than say, well, even though Pierre lost, well, I have to say that, like, even though I won my seat and I did win the popular vote, well, Pierre did get 8 or 9 points more than me. He's the guy who will take on that job of actually stabbing himself in the heart to not that Pierre has lost. And now he's using his children. Excuse. Well, it was different.
I didn't think that.
Sorry, that was an accident.
Had nothing to do with the votes or the results. Because it's just different because I had kids. I stepped aside because I had kids after I lost, and I needed to spend more time. Not because there was anything having to do with some party financing.
$750,000 was it in a minivan, amongst other things.
There's a reason why his nickname is Mini Vandy.
Yeah.
The parties in Ottawa were representing them.
Right.
They came out and they voted for us. We've got blue-collar unionized workers saying, the other parties have killed projects and made it so there's not enough work to go around, or they've devalued paychecks with inflation. And the Conservative Party was the one that was talking about building things in this country again and fighting inflation. So I think you'll find in the next days and weeks that the Conservative caucus is united. There's a tremendous amount of support for Pierre, and we're very grateful to Damien Kirk and the people of Battle River Crowfoot, because Pierre's going to be back in the House in no time, leading the fight to hold this government to account.
But
Okay.
And there's no way to guarantee that that's actually going to happen. There's no way to guarantee that.
Thanks to who will Pierre be in the House in no time, holding this government to account? Thanks to a guy that had to make the biggest political donation in history, and I do not know how that's going to be accounted for, and we still do not know the terms of the deal, because that does open one up to conflicts of interest. And as Michael Barrett of your party and you guys have convinced us that you are so concerned about conflict of interest that really, you should be proactively making the terms of that deal transparent now, shouldn't you? And then, of course, sitting there and talking about all the BS in that answer, right? It's just, there's so many things in that answer that you can take and that you could say, but this. So he's just slapping together data points here and trying to turn them into a reality. That's just all that he's doing. So the answer to the question that kills, though, is because I have kids, and then he immediately pivoted away to how Pierre got a bigger lead and how Pierre and Liberals are terrible and all that kind of stuff. So they worked on this answer.
Oh, yes.
The first one, they saw it went terrible. So, oh, well, just blame it on the kids. And pivot away. All right. So now, if we go...
pick up right from here.
Yep, let's pick up right from here.
If the message was resonating with Canadians as strongly as you suggest, and certainly it was in certain places, how do you explain what happened in Carleton? Voter turnout surged, and a national leader, a frontrunner to be prime minister, voted out by the constituencies represented for 20 years.
Yeah, well, it wasn't just surging votes for the Conservatives in certain places. It was practically all across the country. We got over 1 million votes in Quebec for the first time in the modern Conservative era.
But 80% voted in Carleton, and more than 50% of them voted for Bruce Fanjoy to defeat Mr. Poilievre. How do you explain that, sir?
Still an incredibly, still an increase in support for Pierre in terms of
no
number
admission.
of votes. Look, it's about 4 or 5 days after the election. It's Friday. My own results only got finished counting this morning. There's still data trickling in. We're going to take the time, as any party should, after an election in which they fail to achieve the goal of winning and forming government, look at what happened. But let's not lose sight of the fact that if you had told Conservative MPs and Conservative activists a year or two ago that our leader and our campaign team would get 42% of the vote, we would all say, sign us up. That's incredible. Obviously, something has happened. The complete and utter collapse of the NDP might be a new normal in Canada. A lot of people are talking about the Conservative campaign. We should also include in that conversation how a party like the NDP, take Saskatchewan, for example, the birthplace of the movement, the CCF and the NDP, they went down to 7.5% in my riding. In the province. This might be the new normal. This might mean that we need to rethink how we communicate on things and think about how we campaign. If the NDP had have gotten similar to their average over the last 5 or 6 elections, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We have to fight elections on the train that we find them, and this may very well be something that is permanent going forward. But I think it's too early to kind of jump to conclusions about what aspect of the campaign right now needs to be addressed. We need to take our time and do that in a thorough and thoughtful way.
Well, big chunks of NDP vote in places like southwestern Ontario appears to have gone Conservative as well. So it's not entirely to the benefit of the Liberals, but the Liberals have now, they've just won their 4th election in a row, and they've had their highest vote share since 1980, I believe. So the way you're describing the data, it's almost like you feel like this is still a bit of a victory for the Conservatives when clearly it's a victory for the Liberals.
Well, first of all, to your point about the NDP, you are right. In places where the NDP vote came our way, we won the seats. We won seats in Windsor. I mean, when you look at the kind of ground zero, the front lines of workers who would be affected by U.S. tariffs, we won seats in the auto sector regions in Windsor. We won in Kitchener. We won in Hamilton, where they make steel. Here in Regina, where they make steel, where we make steel. Places where forestry jobs could be affected. Conservatives won farming and agriculture, mining. So in other places where those NDP votes went Liberal, obviously there were different results. But no one's pretending that this is that we won the election. I mean, we are going to approach caucus and our party and our movement with the realization that we cannot do the exact same thing next time as we did this time. No one's suggesting that we're just going to copy and paste into the next election. But that being said, we need to focus on the gains that we've made. Our voter coalition now is much, much bigger and much more diverse, and has people who had never seen themselves in the Conservative Party. So we need to make sure that we keep them there, keep talking about the issues that affected them, keep talking about housing, keep talking about crime and fighting inflation. I'm confident that if we do that, we will be able to build and get that final 3-4.
Okay. Lots of skating in there. So remember, the question originally that started this section off, right? But Pierre, in his writing, Pierre got so much more vote share and then pivoted away to talking about the NDP. And if it weren't for the NDP collapse, well, maybe it would be, but the NDP did collapse, Blanche. It did. So it just, if it wasn't. So let's go look back at Pierre's vote share. Should we? Take a look. Let's see. The 2004 Nepean Carleton election, Pierre Poilievre got 45.7. In 2006, he got 55. In 2008, he got 55.8. In 2011, he got 54.42. Let's see. Federal election. Where are we at? There we go. 2015, 46.86. Oh, started going down.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Rogers, the Liberal, got 43.74 in that one. Wasn't an overwhelming win. 2019, Pierre Poilievre got 46.35, a little bit lower. Let's see, 2011, 49.9. 2021, 49.9. 2025, 45.70. So let's see. He got 49.9 in 2021, and he got 45.7 in 2025, but Andrew Scheer wants you to believe he got more. He got more votes. He got 35,356 votes in 2021 and got 39,333. He got more votes, but he got 4% lower vote share. Doesn't matter if you get more votes if your vote share went down. But he's trying to get anything, all of these interviews, the number one mission is never admit Pierre lost. Yeah, of course the party lost, but never admit Pierre lost. His seat, or lost to Doug Ford, or lost to, he got more vote share. Well, he got more votes than Doug Ford. He got more, but never admit he lost. Andrew Scheer's a good little puppy.
Oh, yes.
Probably got a drawer full of milk bone waiting for him. Maybe even bought for by the party. He's God. This guy is so obsequious. He's like, do you need a shower yet? Because this is gross. Okay. Let's keep going with this guy. Because where are we with him now and the timestamp on this one?
7:40.
Okay.
I gotta go though. I have to go. It's 8:30.
Oh, okay. Darn, because I can't continue it from here.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's why I wanted to go a little faster on the previous ones. We got too chatty.
It happens. It happens.
All right. Let's see.
Just in from the Globe and Mail, Pierre Poilievre staying in Stornoway pending by-election.
Okay.
So we're still paying his freight.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, so when the video, if you leave it run, when the video ends, will it just end and then it will switch back to me?
I honestly don't know.
Because I do want to show the end of it. All right, we'll take a risk. We'll see if it does.
You want me to run it?
Yep, we'll run it.
Okay. All right.
We're trying something we've never tried for before, kids and cubs. Woohoo! Look, Ma, no hands.
I will take my leave because I have to go. I have a very desperate puppy dog who needs out, and I have to go meet somebody. But thanks for coming out, everybody. Thanks for listening to me at the beginning of the show, talking about my mental health. It did actually help. I do physically feel better right now because of it, and my head is in a better space. I will do an ASMR live show later today, probably around 3 o'clock is what I'm planning. We'll see how that goes. You'll see a post if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll see a post of what time I'll go live. But anyway, I'm going to let you go for now. I got to go take care of some things, but thanks for coming out. I do appreciate each and every one of you. You mean a lot to me. So thanks. You take care. I'll see you.
All right. Okay, I'm guessing it's not running. Okay, cool. No worries. We'll move on then. Okay. So throughout the rest of the interview,
Forgot to hit play. Sorry.
oh,
I think when I eat, shut it down as well. So let's try it and see what happens. If I hit play.
We've had a number of Conservative MPs and a number of Conservative candidates.
Yeah, doesn't work. Okay, that's all right. That's all right. Well, we'll pick it up on another show. But in the rest of that interview in this section here, we get to a point where Andrew Scheer really disrespects voters in the next answer, and then David Cochrane comes back up to him with something else, and then the interview really goes off the rails with Andrew Scheer trying to advance the claim that inflation was caused by the Liberals demanding that money be printed and added permanently to the money supply, to which David Cochrane states that that is actually not true, because that's not a decision of the Liberal government, that's a decision of the Bank of Canada, and that was quantitative easing, which can be removed through quantitative tightening, which indeed was done. So if we're looking right now, there is not much additional money added to the money supply at the moment, because the Bank of Canada did do the easing and the tightening, and Andrew Scheer will not admit at all that that took place and that that is true. In fact, Andrew Scheer gets into this big argument with David Cochrane, just like he got into a big argument with Vashi Kapelas the day before on this topic, trying to have Canadians believe that he, the leader of the interim leader of the Conservative Party, who also has no financial portfolio or financial experience whatsoever in his background, because he's a, quote, failed insurance salesman, if he ever was an insurance salesman, because there were questions about his CV, but that this person here will be able to tell us more about how the financial system works than a journalist who asks questions and investigates things for a living and has a duty through a code of a behavioral code. In French, they call it the Code de Déontologie. I can't remember the name in English for it, but that by which journalists abide. So yeah, we're supposed to believe that the journalist is the one that is spreading incorrect information about how the money supply has been affected. How inflation has been affected by money supply during the pandemic. It's a nonsensical proposition, right? Believe us, the opposition party that has a track record of lying about everything and exaggerating everything and not being forthcoming and being extremely parsimonious with the truth on what caused inflation, rather than the journalist who actually has an ethical obligation to report truth and has been trained with the skills to go look for it, dig for it, and find it. But only believe the party. Reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. Andrew Scheer has the truth on that one. So it was a very embarrassing and disrespectful segment, and we will be bringing it to you, that segment, on a future show. Then in that interview, Cochrane continues and sort of calls out Scheer on having done a bad job as House Leader. And Scheer completely responds with more BS, stating stuff like, the roles of the committees are to investigate government corruption. That's not the role of the committees. I mean, the role of the committee is to, yes, investigate some government corruption if it comes up, but it's not to suggest that there's government corruption under every rock and not only do that. The goal of the committee is to actually analyze bills that are proposed and interview witnesses and to try to get the best information and propose some amendments in committee to make these bills better. It's not just a forum for holding the government accountable or to investigate alleged government corruption. And then Andrew Scheer says, well, we have to do it because the media is not doing it. Well, again, it's not the party's job to use committee to do the job it feels media is not doing. It's to do the work of the people who elected you there to make our lives better. So Andrew Scheer does not seem to understand the assignment of being a parliamentarian and being on committee. And then, there's a little bit about David Cochrane asking, whether or not there could be some reciprocation of the class that Carney showed by not delaying the by-election. There seems that there's going to be no intent of that based on the answer that Andrew Scheer gave. And then finally at the end, to close off the interview, Andrew Scheer goes back to the point about the money supply at the end because he just can't let it go. He's got to be a dick until the very, very, very end. Well, after that happened, 5 days later, Andrew Scheer returned to power and politics with David Cochrane after being named interim leader. And in the first minute and 22 seconds, he starts off the interview with David Cochrane by going back to the money supply thing and saying, I want to look at it again like this. And yeah, I'm right. He's not. But Andrew Scheer can't let it go. So we have 3 interviews. The first one with Vashi Capellos, where he keeps on slagging Tim Houston and Doug Ford while saying that we can't point fingers and all we need to do is, re-elect Pierre in that seat and then give the Conservatives another go at it. And next time they'll get the 2 or 3% that they were short of, that they kept on saying the last 2 times when they won the popular vote. Oh, just give us one more chance, and next time we'll get the extra 2 or 3%. And they keep on getting the extra 2 or 3%, allegedly, and still not winning. And they won't look at that. Right? They won't look at why they're not winning. Why it is that Canadians seem so determined, no matter what they do, even if they win the popular vote, even if they get a leader like Pierre, even if they gin up turnout, they can't win because their product or their leader is unattractive and unappealing. It's our policies. We just didn't communicate. No. People don't like your policies. It's not that they're not communicated well enough, because it's the vibe. You're the icky party. You're the angry party. You're the hateful party. You're the ragey party. You're the party who never says anything good to say about Canada or anybody in it who doesn't think or look like you. This is the reason why you're losing. And then your past election. I mean, terrible decisions with the media, and then a terrible platform, and no ability to cost whatsoever, no ability to pivot. This is a terrible campaign manager who's a horrible human being, treats people like shit. I mean, had you just done the basic boilerplate thing of being nice to people in Nova Scotia and Ontario, that probably, those premiers probably would have put their teams behind you, and you maybe would have even done better there, and you would have had your win. Same thing in Quebec, but you decided you didn't need those people because they weren't pure enough, because, again, you got high enough on your own supply. You thought that there was one kind of conservatives, those real conservatives, you were pandering to them, you were throwing them red meat, you were kicking the impures in the nuts, and that was making them cheer and open up their wallet and give you more money, and you thought you had it like that, and you didn't. And this whole thing by Andrew Scheer walking around says, but we got this, It's like sitting there demanding a participation trophy from the party that keeps on mocking everybody as snowflakes because we allegedly want participation trophies. Not only does he want a participation trophy, he wants a do-over so that he can get to Parliament again. Then he wants another do-over in 2 years from now so that he can run again, and now this time be Prime Minister. Well, that's a lot of do-overs. That's a lot of second chances. That's a lot of, if we're talking about, I remember that the Conservative Party of Canada is apparently the party on meritocracy. We're going to hear a lot about that with cabinet, right? Because we're going to talk about gender parity in the cabinet. And then, well, the Conservatives are going to be talking about, well, what about meritocracy? Because apparently it's only meritocracy when we're asking about women's qualifications to be in cabinet, but not men's. Right? So in this case here, meritocracy. Pierre did not win his seat. Pierre did not win the election, but Pierre still deserves a seat and deserves another shot. That's meritocracy if you're conservative. If you're a mediocre white man who failed upward, you get another shot. That's what you merit. But if you're anybody else, you don't even deserve a first shot. If you're a mediocre white man that's had all the advantages handed to you as well, and you still can't get it done, you get another shot. But if you worked yourself up from nothing, finally gathered everything so that you got your one shot, here's your one shot, fancy, don't let me down. And you take that shot. You have to work in all your life to get to that point, to get that one shot, and it doesn't work out for you. Well, too bad. There must have been something wrong with you. You mustn't have worked hard enough, or didn't have enough work ethic, or you didn't have, right? It's a personal failing of yours somehow. But not when it happens to the leader of the Conservative Party, who had all the resources and an entire team behind him and still can't get it done. Then it's just, well, we need to do better communicating our message. That's all. We'll get him next time. Even though we said that the last 3 times and haven't done it yet. But we'll get him next time. Seriously, I don't understand why people donate to the Conservative Party. Seriously. 40 years. They had Conservative governments in Alberta. Not 1 inch of pipeline built to Tidewater in that time. Harper government gets its majority. Not 1 inch of pipeline to Tidewater. Liberals come in, they build them a pipeline to Tidewater. The attitude doesn't change. The tone doesn't change. They still hate us. If only we had more pipelines to Tidewater. Let's vote for the party who didn't get it done for 40 years. It literally makes no sense. But there you go. That's the situation that we're in right now. So, apparently, Conservatives are promising change, but they give Sandra Scheer, who behaves in interview with journalists the exact same way as Pierre behaves in interview with journalists, keeps on slagging the premiers of other provinces, disrespects voters, says that, they've got to learn and grow, but when asked about, how they use committees and their rule book for appending to the committees and whatnot, so, we need to investigate government corruption. Rah, 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 rah. None of this sounds like change. None of this sounds like change. it all sounds like give me another chance. And if we just keep on doing what we were doing, a little harder, a little louder, a little stronger, more of it, this time, we'll, this time, it will work. And this is, again, from Pierre, who ended the campaign by saying at every chance he could, well, the definition of insanity is repeating the same behaviors and expecting different outcomes. We've had Harper. We've had Harper 2.0 in Scheer. We've had Harper with Dimples. Harper 3.0 with Aaron O'Toole. That was Cuddles. Then we got Harper 4.0 with Pierre, which is Harper being as nasty as he would have liked to have been originally. See if that works. And it looks like Harper 5.0 so far is going to be Harper 4.0 like this with a slight adjustment. So really, Harper 5.0 is really going to be Harper 4.1.1 if they allow Pierre to go all the way through. Again, change. I'm not feeling it, kids and cubs. All right. Moving on. Cabinet Day. Kids and cubs, that's today. As we mentioned, not much out there about what's going on. The best that we hear is, again, there's going to be some grumblings with accounting and numbers because Mark Carney seems to be indicating that it is going to be a smaller cabinet than the one that was fielded by Justin Trudeau before he left office. But in another way, it seems like it's going to be more people because, as we mentioned, it seems that we are going back to the tradition of having some type of tiered cabinet where there's sort of like an inner circle of ministers, and then there's either, depending how they call the ministers of state or secretaries of state or something like that, parliamentary secretaries. I think it would be ministers of state or secretaries of state that are under them, so that they would have departments like this, but smaller budgets and not as much as responsibilities. This they would be invited to the cabinet table for discussions, but they wouldn't be there for every single one. Only if there was stuff that was particularly relevant to their department. So it looks like there's going to be tiers in that sense. And when you bring the tiers in, it looks like there might be up to 40 people, which would be more, right? So, but the inner circle would be smaller. So again, it's like how you're counting it, right? Because with the budget, right, he's talking about operational, dividing things into operational and capital, and to get the operational budget in balance in 3 years. But the capital budget will be, of course, affected and will show deficits. And if you put them together, well, then of course would show annual deficits. But these deficits are for capital things. So, they're different than operational ones. It's a different kind of deficit, which is true, indeed true, and probably how we should have been doing it all along. But they're looking at this, oh, well, it's like, it doesn't matter whether you divide it in capital one, it's still a deficit. And they're looking at this the same way here. It doesn't matter if you do this or that. It doesn't matter if it's if there's an inner circle or an outer circle, it's still more. Like this, and the liberals are going to try to show that it's less. So there's going to be some fun with numbers and some one-day story griping about the size of the overall cabinet if it does get to 40 with tiers. So that will be the one thing. Then on a gender parity, the question then comes, well, if you're going to have a tiered cabinet, will most of the women be in the lower tier? And then you look at the overall number and you say, does gender parity, or will it be in the top tier? So if you're going to make an inner circle and a secondary circle, what's the gender parity in each of those circles will then become an issue. So that's something that we're going to have to watch for in terms of what will be talked about. Of course, with the cabinet in Canada, it can only be so small because we do have things like a regional parity and all that kind of stuff. So if you do want to have a minister from each province and one somewhere from the north, well, that's already 11, right? Just for the regional representation. And then, a lot of people seem to think, well, even if you have representation from the province of Quebec, well, you do need some from Montreal and Quebec City. You probably should have something in Ontario, from Toronto and Ottawa, and maybe somewhere in the regions of the province. You might want more than one person from Atlantic Canada, given that there are 4 provinces. You might want given that the Liberals do have a certain number of seats in the West. Do they name, given that they have one in Saskatchewan and two in Alberta, do they name all three from the prairie provinces to show those two prairie provinces to show that they're reaching out to the West? Given that the Liberals have gotten more seats than usual in Manitoba, do they pick two from Manitoba to try and shore up and consolidate that area? Right? You never know. And then, of course, BC, right, which is the third most populous province. And again, some star candidates coming in from there, like Greg Robertson, for example. Then you're looking at Quebec specifically because it is the province that delivered the strong minority to Carney. So how many ministers from the province of Quebec? How will he show the province of Quebec that even though they took a chance on him, despite his less than ideal language skills in French, will Quebec be rewarded somehow for that? So that's a narrative going on with cabinet selections. Another one will be how much new, how much old, right? How many people remaining from the Trudeau era and how many new people brought in. And then in what positions, right? In the inner circle, one of the things that we're looking at is that at least the three that were on the couch with him in Washington, D.C., which are McGuinty, Joly, and LeBlanc. Are they likely to stay in their portfolios given that the negotiations with the United States on these things continue and that it's probably good not to have interruption? A lot of people, and then you can add François-Philippe Champagne to the mix, who wasn't in Washington, D.C. And of course, we showed the clip of the press conference where somebody asked if he would still remain the finance minister, and Mark Carney joked, did he tell you that? Did he ask you to ask that? So there's a case to be made for keeping him in the position because the budget has to come very soon and you don't want to switch horses in the middle of the race like that. There's also a case to switching him out because he's very much a networker, very friendly, and might be better in a position that's a little less behind the scenes, more valuable, even though finance minister, however, is a prized portfolio. Some person pointed out on the news yesterday that both Dominique Leblanc, if you get shuffled out, both Dominique Leblanc and François-Philippe Champagne will have been finance ministers who never actually got to present a budget. So, and then there's the whole discussion about who you're going to have as finance minister. Do you want to bring in a rookie politician that doesn't have experience? Because that didn't work very well with Bill Morneau. Fortunately, there is Carlos Letao coming in from the province of Quebec, who was finance minister in the Couillard government for a certain number of years. And that certainly will give him some ability to change the finance minister and still have the finance minister be from Quebec at a high value portfolio if he's looking to send a message to Quebec that it is still important. So you could do two birds with one stone there. There are some other candidates apparently in the province of Quebec that are being looked at in Papineau. Again, I think it was somebody who worked very closely with Justin Trudeau on his team, got reelected and knows very much the inner workings of Parliament and government and that type of stuff, and could be very valuable. And she did win the riding with an overwhelming victory. So she could be a good candidate. There is a lady up in the Abitibi-Témiscamingue area whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head. And I don't have access on the notes because they're available on the phone that I'm doing this right now, so I can't look at them. But who is a Grand Chief of Northern Quebec Cree Nation, and that she could be a very interesting addition to cabinet if we're talking about particularly things related to Indigenous issues or Northern development even. So there's some files there. There is a man, I think it is from British Columbia, if I'm not mistaken, who used to work with Mark Carney on the the board of the Bank of Canada, and also used to work with Hydro One, utilities, that type of stuff. So could be a good person to put in a financial portfolio, somebody with whom Carney already has trust in an established relationship because he's got to do a lot of work fast. So that could work there. Other narrative. So everything economic is a big narrative. Who will he have at international trade? Who will he have at finance? Who will he have at Treasury Board? That type of thing. There's some question, as we mentioned, like we said, we're talking about municipalities. Will there be someone from the Quebec City region specifically? If there's someone from Vancouver, will there also be somebody from the Victoria area? That type of stuff for the party. Let's see what else. There's also the question of how do you solve a problem like Chrystia? Where does he put Chrystia Freeland in cabinet? I don't think that she's going to be demoted away from cabinet. Right now, she's at transport. Will he put her in an economic portfolio? Will he keep her far away from an economic portfolio or anything having to do directly with the United States, given that Donald Trump really doesn't like her? That's another question. Lots and lots of questions in terms of the combination of the composition of cabinet. Lots to choose from in terms of new talent coming in as well. So that is, like I said, cabinet making is a very interesting and intricate exercise. Probably the only thing more complicated is a wedding seating chart. God, you can't sit him next to her. So the interesting part for us political junkies is that indeed there is very few leaks about who will be where. So so more a traditional test type reveal that will actually have some surprises and some chatter from the pundit class afterwards. So the post cabinet reveal shows are going to be interesting. I'm going to have a lot of time enjoying watching that. I am hoping that for this cabinet, that even though stuff like a gender balance and regional balance and all that kind of stuff is important, I'm hoping it will be slightly secondary. I'm not saying I don't want a gender parity cabinet. I do. But I'm hoping that it will be slightly secondary to actually having people who are competent in the fields, in the various portfolios, the ones that are particularly key to the mission of not only negotiating with the United States, but also preparing the terrain to move ourselves in a different direction for the diversification of our economy domestically here in terms of industries in which we're involved, and in terms of the diversification of our trade partners abroad. Because, like I said, there's going to be a lot of transformation that's going to be required. In this time, there's going to be a lot of negotiations, new deals to be signed, and it would be nice to have some people, for example, a lot of people are talking about this person here who used to work at the bank with Mark Carney as being a good candidate for the natural resources portfolio because he did work with Hydro One, so and that type of stuff. So and has big experience with in terms of leadership with Hydro One, so complete portfolio, and particularly related to natural resources. Another one of the questions, since we're talking about the environment stuff, is what the government does with Jonathan Wilkinson and Stephen Guilbeault. Stephen Guilbeault gives Danielle Smith hives, so I don't think he can be eliminated from cabinet because he is beloved in Quebec. But if he is kept in where he is with Parks Canada or not, or put into a portfolio that has absolutely nothing to do with the environment, that's a question. Jonathan Wilkinson, I personally think he should stay. Again, he's another person apparently that gives people in the West hives because he knows what he talks about and is pro-environment, even though he's also very much pro-industry. But his industry background is green industry, right? Not oil and gas. So a lot of people want him moved out. He was looking at he was looking at the possibility for running for the leadership as well. So, I mean, he's a very serious candidate that brings a lot. Other people being talked about are Ben Carr out in Manitoba, the son of Jim Carr, who was a minister himself and passed away a few years ago. Jim Carr made a big noise when he became a minister because he was a musician playing in an orchestra. So showing that we can pick people from all various walks of life. But his son now is the person who occupies that seat, and seems to have built a reputation over the past few years, and is very respected among his peers. So that's another name that we could see getting a call up. Another name, Rebecca Alty, I think was a former mayor of Yellowknife, could definitely be a cabinet minister from the north that's named in. So these are all names that I'm hearing about. Some people, it'll be interesting to see who doesn't come back. A lot of people are thinking that maybe like a Mark Miller won't be coming back. People are thinking but a Ruby Sahota in the Brampton area might be returning in that case. Because I don't think the Liberals did all that well in Brampton. I think the Conservatives took some in that area. So having a minister from that area could help with visibility in the Liberal fortunes, especially if there's going to be another election in 2 years. So again, and then the other question, particularly Anita Anand and Sean Fraser and Tom Long and Cody Blois. The first two were not going to run again, and Mark Carney encouraged them to run again. So seeing where they will end up in cabinet, if at all, it would be kind of weird if they didn't, considering they were going to leave. So it'll be interesting to see where they end up, and whether Cody Blois, who was recently named to cabinet in that sort of functioning cabinet, whether or not he gets to stay, because he was a voice that did speak up against Prime Minister Trudeau and is from the Atlantic area. So it'll be interesting to see if he's there. And same thing with Mr. Long, who was the first person to speak out against Trudeau and was going to walk away and was convinced to remain. So there's that. And then there was one other little thing I had made a note about with cabinet, and it popped into my mind while I was saying the last thing, and then it popped right out again. So hopefully it will come to me and I'll be able to add it in. But yeah, as you can see, there's a lot going on with this cabinet, and there's a lot of questions that are being asked. But given that he has to hit the ground running, and he can't assume that he has a functioning majority, or even though with commitments that the Bloc has made in the situation of the NDP, that he's pretty sure that he'll have at least a good year and a half to govern pretty effectively. But he seems to be a person that wants to hit the ground running. So I am hoping that there are some inspired choices in certain departments from people that do have experience in these backgrounds that actually can hit the ground running and start moving these files forward quickly. Because he is up against it in that Canadians are willing to take a chance, but Canadians don't seem to be the most patient lot at the moment, and will want some results quickly, and will want to see appropriate consultation, but not stuff that drags on too long and all that kind of stuff. So he needs to have some people in there that share that same sort of cultural I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is, that share that same type of cultural I don't know what it is, spirit, I guess, or cultural that type of organizational thinking and structure that are comfortable in working in that type of culture in order to be able to move these projects ahead a little faster than we would expect for governments to be able to do. Maybe not as fast as we did during COVID in terms of break things and we'll clean stuff up, but fast enough. So it will be a slightly different pace, as we've seen. He seems to have a boardroom style, even in press conferences and that type of stuff. seems to be good at taking ideas from all around and doing the synthesis part of meeting and coming up with stuff. So, like I said, but he's going to. This government is going to have to be seen as a government of action if we're working on this on the supposition that he maybe has 2 years before there's a potential um, snap election, and that he's going to have some concrete achievements on which to run. If he's lucky, he gets more time, and therefore I think times for stuff to move from the consultation and planning phase and just budgeting and legislative phase to actually, being done. But yeah, he's going to. I have a sense that people will have very little patience for foot dragging and. God, I'm going to age myself. Dilly-dallying on these types of files. So hopefully the Prime Minister will have cabinet choices, and in the meetings that he's had with them leading up to the choices, who will be able to say, who are able to say definitively, I can work in that type of environment and move things along a little faster. So we will see. I believe that coverage of the cabinet stuff starts at around 9:30 this morning, so in about 22 minutes live. And I think that the swearing-in ceremony, stuff like that, will start around 10-ish. I will not be doing a live thing of the cabinet or viewing party today, kids and cubs, because yours truly the beaver has to go to the beaver dentist to make sure that the chompers are all in order. And that's at 11:30, so I have to leave a little early. So I will be watching it live as it is happening, but won't be able to do a live stream. But I will. We will have a show for you tomorrow, of course, with our thoughts on that. And we'll be able to keep you up to date with what's happening. And of course, I will be present and very visible on the socials, of course. So, so no need to worry about that. You'll definitely hear from me. But yes, we will talk about it more on the show. I would have loved to have done a live show, but 6 months ago when I booked my dentist appointment, I had no idea that we would have had a snapped election, and that cabinet would happen to be at the same time I'm getting my chompers polished. Oh, well. But I am a little disappointed, I will admit, because this is more of a sort of traditional reveal where we don't know much. This one would have been a lot more fun to do live than the other ones, because there would have been some, oh, that's interesting, moments and reactions from me that would have been genuine, because nothing would have been telegraphed before in terms of who's in what position. So I am looking forward, as a political junkie, to this. It's like a mini little Christmas, where there's a box and we don't know what's in it. We're going to get to unwrap it and find out what it is, and we'll see what we get. So hopefully, kids and cubs, you will join us again tomorrow, so that we can go over that and share with each other what it is that we think about the cabinet picks. But for now, that's the end of this episode of the Daily Beaver Morning Show. We hope that you love listening to us, because we love making this for you. Remember, sharing is caring, and word of mouth is priceless. So please tell your peeps and poops all about us. It really matters to us that you do. Now, kids and cubs, if you happen to be a very busy beaver yourself, because, you're making life happen. You're involved in the community, taking care of the family, trying to get ahead at work, all that good stuff, being a good friend, all the stuff matters. And you might not have time to sit down and watch our show. You might have to take us with you. Well, hey, we're portable. If you like the fun size version of our podcast, the ears only version, you could take it with you. So please scan that QR code if you're watching, which is made available to us thanks to the generous donation of the Ray Girl, who sponsors our pod page. And if you are listening, you go to podpage.com/the-truenortheagerbeaver with a hyphen between each one of those words. And when you see the subscribe button, if you click on it, when we have something fresh off the bandwidth, it comes directly to you. You don't even have to go searching for it, because we like to help. We want you to listen to us. We want you to have your regular rendezvous, so we make it as easy as possible. Now, kids and cubs, if you would like to support us in another way, well, hey, grab your surfboards, take a ride on out to the True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated YouTube page, where we have over 18,000 subscribers, and you can be one of them. Help us get to 20,000 before Canada Day. Is it possible? Who knows? We don't know. But with your help, maybe we can do that. We also have some buttons there. Like, share, and subscribe. Click them, lick them, and flick them. Get freaky with them. It makes us happy when you do, and it helps us with the algorithm. So thank you so much for your help with that, kids and cubs. We are so grateful for your participation. If you happen to be listening to us in podcast form and you have the opportunity to give us stars and reviews, that too helps us with the algorithm. We won't tell you how many stars to give us at all. But if you are feeling generous, 5 is always a lovely number, but give us what you think we deserve. Nothing subliminal going on right now, just stars. All right? Thank you so much. Now, for those listening at home on podcast version, I'm as I'm saying that, I'm putting my hand up and showing 5 fingers over and over and over again. But nothing subliminal going on. No, nothing at all. All right. If kids and cubs, you would like to help us with costs of putting the show together, because we do incur some costs in bringing it to you. Internet subscription fees, news subscription fees, equipment updates, antivirus, all that kind of stuff. It costs a little bit of money. We're racking up some bills. And of course, we keep on trying to make the show better for you. So if you would like to help us with that, because you think that we put out a good product that resonates with you, helps keep you informed, and or hey, maybe you just like our personalities and our disposition, and you like our company, whatever the reason is, if you would like, maybe you feel sorry for us, that's okay too. We take pity money. Or maybe you're particularly proud of us. We also take pride money. We're not picky. But if you would like to support us, kids and cubs, a nice donation via the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund, where every day we work very hard to fight the scourge that is dry beaver. Oh my God. We can't have that. Seems I lost connection there for a little bit. So if you want to make sure that you are doing your bit as a proud Canadian to keep your favorite beaver moist or your favorite grizzly caffeinated, well then, a quick trip to the Eager Beaver Lodge Emergency Hydration Fund via our... Oh, I was just trying to do some magic, but that didn't happen. Let's try that again. And the connection's slipping again. It's kind of weird. Okay, let's try one more time. Magic. There we go. That QR code that just with a lot of forced magic here that just appeared on our screen will bring you to the emergency the emergency hydration fund at the Beaver Lodge. I was going to say it brings you to the emergency Beaver Lodge, which is an entirely different concept. But our emergency hydration fund, which is also our tip jar, if you got some extra coinage, some loonies and toonies that you would like to hear make a lovely jingling sound, you just drop them in our tip jar. The sound will be musical and will bring you soaring upon light, fluffy clouds to the sounds of 1,000 violins. And will also earn you our undying gratitude, which, you know, in some dimensions has a lot of worth and value. But seriously, kids and cubs, we are absolutely grateful for everything that you're able to contribute. It helps keep us afloat, because remember, this is it's a labor of love. But we probably would have had to pack it in about 1.5 years ago if it was not for your generous support. So thank you so much for keeping us going, and we are grateful for all that you contribute, and please know that everything does go back into the show, and that no donation is too small. Now, if you are buying Canadian and you would like to donate in a way that bypasses all the American CE tech bros and all that kind of stuff, we also got you covered. You just make a direct bank transfer to us, and the email address for that is truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. We get it, and it doesn't go through the CE tech bros from the United States, and 100% of your donation comes to us. Hey, that's a win-win situation. Now, that email address, truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com, that's something you can use to write to us as well, because we want to hear from you. Especially if you're not able to contribute financially, the gifts of your participation and your attention are the ones that matter the most to us. And we love hearing from you. Yes, we get such a warm fuzzy when you do. So please do write to us. Let us know what you think about the show. Good, bad, or ugly. If ugly, please do be gentle. If you have some suggestions for guests, please do let us know who you'd like to see on the show. Remember, we're trying to do a Q&A show for you, so if you have some questions about politics in general that you would like our takes on, please ask us. Anything about how the show runs, please. We need a lot more of these questions if we're going to be able to do a show for you. Okay, so please do send them to us. I know a few of you wanted the show, but yes, we have to have some content, right? And if it's your show, then you have to do the programming. So please do send us those questions to truenortheagerbeaver@gmail.com. If you would like to write to us and communicate with us on our socials, hey, we got that too. At True Eager at the Blue Sky Beaver Lodge and on Jitter, True North Eager Beaver at Facebook, our original home. And if you are listening on our YouTube page, either live right now with the Dan Fam or later, right down here in the comment section, leave us a little note where we read absolutely everything. We're not able to get back to everyone, but also all of your comments get worked back in and go into the show to make us better. We hope that you see it, kids and cubs, and we hope that you feel it. It's your show too, and we want you to be involved. So thank you so very much for everything you send us. All the news stories, the clips, your opinions, your takes, all of it matters. So we're grateful for you. All right. Because democracy is something that you do. Remember, there's a Quebec Liberal leadership race in La Belle Province, and the voting is June 9th to the 14th, with the results to be unveiled on July 14th, 1 month later. Take a look at what's going on, kids and cubs, in the Yukon if you are there, because Ranj Pillai, the leader of the Liberal Party and the Premier, has decided that he will not be running in the next election. So there will be a Liberal Party leadership race there. Don't have full details of that yet, but do make sure that you register when the time comes. Remember that where it really happens is at the party level. So get in there if you want to have good candidates to vote for in the general. At the party nomination levels, either at the individual riding or for the leader, that's where the real action is at, and that's where you do your quality control to make sure that you get good selections. All right, so please do get involved there. Also, because democracy is something that you do, kids and cubs, writing letters is always a very, 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 very good thing, kids and cubs. So if you would like to write some letters to the Premier of Alberta, letting her know that you're not down with that separation thing, and particularly trampling over the rights of Indigenous Canadians in order to be able to do that, that would be a good thing. Or, for example, if you are in Ontario and you would like a little more transparency on what's going on with that film deal, especially since that New York Times article came out showing that it's quite possible that the government got hosed or taken or duped a bit into signing that deal. You might want to write a letter about that too. Remember, letter writing is really, really important. And if you take the time to actually handwrite it, rather than just write it on your computer and put it in the mail, rather than send an email, trust me, it hits harder at that end. And if you get friends to do it as well, that hits even more. Remember, keep on telling you, there's somebody in there that sees all these letters that comes in and says, okay, somebody wrote about this and puts it on there, puts it on there, puts a one next to it. And when there are enough of them, then somebody brings that to the attention of the MP or the MPP or the MLA, and that's how you get things on the agenda. So when you're asking about how do we get things on the agenda, write letters, handwritten letters, call constituency offices, ask for a meeting, and when you tell people that this is important to you. Not only this is important to me, and you won't get my vote if you don't do it, but this is important for me, and I will make it my mission to mobilize everybody in my circle of influence to not vote for you or your party if you do not do this. And how about, as Canadians, there's one subject we can do this on, and for all our MPs, all our senators, all our MLAs, all our MPPs, is on disinformation. What are you going to do as a government to make sure that the quality of information that we receive as Canadians, either through media, through journalism, through civics, whatnot, is at the highest quality? Because we are under attack. So, these are some letters that you can write, kids and cubs. Please do. I really hope that you do. Democracy is something that you do, so get involved, right? It's not a spectator sport. Okay, words of wisdom, kids and cubs. Don't really have much other than, again, it's going to be tennis related again, as I mentioned, right? Remember, if you're being honest with yourself, it is possible to improve and be happy and proud of your improvement and still not win. All right? Celebrate your improvement, yes. But then make the changes you need to do if you get to play again to improve your odds of winning. Don't deny that the things that went wrong did not go wrong. All right? So celebrate the successes, but have an honest accounting. Because again, as we keep on saying, when it's you yourself in the mirror, you know what you did and you know what you didn't do. Right? So just keep it real. Keep it real with yourself. All right. Kids, it could be a tough world out there, so please be kind to and gentle with yourselves. Now, it's the audience participation time for the show. Kids and cubs, I will need your help. I need you to lean in. All right? Are you leaning in? Okay. Now, I need you to say in your silliest voice, Mr. Beaver, please cue the cock. In 1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah. Okay, you know what? That's an appropriate amount of silly. Happy to oblige.
You are listening to a True North Eager Beaver Media Incorporated podcast. The True North Eager Beaver podcasts are proudly brought to you by our founding sponsors, the Misfit Mysteries from Corvid Moon Publishing, your source for science fiction, fantasy, and cozy mysteries featuring a broad diversity of characters. CanadianTarot.com, their uniquely Canadian online eclectic tarot community, and The Peppermaster, hot pepper sauces made from farm-fresh ingredients to thrill your taste buds and expand your mind. We are grateful to the Crier Media Network for its support, Pete Jarvis for our artwork, and Paul Joseph Something for our opening and closing sequence music.